For weeks, I lived on a knife's edge, a breath away from madness. Every night, I drove Mr. Atacunnel into the city's secret heart, fighting a silent war. His one rule, never look in the rearview mirror after midnight, was my shield, but it was also my cage. The fear kept me obedient, but another feeling grew. A desperate, clawing need to know. They say curiosity can do far worse than kill. It can open doors to worlds you can't imagine, and they never close. This is the story of the night my curiosity finally won. This is the story of the night I looked, and everything changed forever. It was a Tuesday, and that's what gets me. The sheer normality of it all. The sky was clear, but the moment I picked him up, I knew this night was different. The mansion's air was thick with myrrh and bitter, burned herbs. The smell was so strong that it made my eyes water, a strange and ominous warning. Mr. Atacunnel wore robes of deep indigo that seemed to drink the light. He didn't say a word, but the silence he carried with him was ancient and final. Midnight struck, and the horror began. This time, it was worse. The cold was an instant, vicious presence that slammed into the car like a physical blow. But it was the whispers that truly broke me. They were no longer murmurs, but a clear chorus of voices speaking of fallen kings and a deep, ancient hunger. Then a single, sibilant voice rose above the others. It wasn't behind me anymore. It was right in my ear. "We see you, driver," it hissed menacingly. "Hiding in your little metal shell. Hiding behind your master's little rule," the voice taunted. "Why won't you just look at us? Are you that afraid?" It was a direct challenge. A cold, ethereal finger seemed to trace a line down my spine. The drumming began. A loud war beat from the car's very chassis. I felt surrounded, besieged by a phantom army only I could hear. The shadows were no longer fleeting, but solid shapes with angles that were just all wrong. They were parading for me, putting on a twisted show, daring me to finally look. My fear was an icy block in my chest, now shot through with hot anger. I was their plaything, a terrified rat in a cage, and they were rattling the bars. In the side mirror, I saw my own face, pale and wide-eyed with terror. And I hated it. I hated feeling this powerless. Mama Rose didn't raise a coward, and Mr. Atacunnel hired a man. A hot wave of defiance washed over me. What was the point of surviving the night, only to lose my mind? The need to see, to confront the terror, became more powerful than the fear itself. I made my decision. The moment the thought solidified in my mind, everything just stopped. The whispers, the drumming, the cold. It all simply vanished. An absolute, profound silence fell. So complete it was more terrifying than the noise had been. The entire world, inside and outside the car, held its breath. It was just me, the silent car, and the immense, expectant weight of the unseen. They knew what I was about to do. They were waiting for me to break. My heart hammered against my ribs, my breath hitched in my throat. This was it. The point of no return. My hand gripped the wheel, feeling like a stranger's. My eyes, moving with an agonizing slowness that seemed to stretch for an eternity, finally lifted from the road. Up towards that small rectangle of glass. That little mirror held all the secrets of the night. With everything I had in me, I forced myself to look in the rear-view mirror. I finally looked. For a split second, everything was normal. I just saw the plush leather of the empty-looking back seat. Then, the entire image wavered like a potent heat haze. The back seat was gone. In its place was a vast throne room carved from living shadow, shimmering with gold and purple light. A truly impossible sight. On a throne of polished obsidian sat Mr. Atacunnel. Kneeling before him were figures woven from smoke and ancient regrets, their forms horrifyingly indistinct. They were offering him tribute. Glowing orbs of light whispered secrets, and shimmering fabrics that seemed to be made of pure, unadulterated night. And Mr. Adekunle. His face was his, but ageless, carved with the sorrow and wisdom of millennia. This was not the billionaire. This was a king, a jailer. And his eyes, they were not human. They were dark, fathomless pits, galaxies of dead stars. As I stared frozen, his eyes in the reflection met mine. He saw me. He looked right through the mirror, right through the back of my skull, and into the deepest, most terrified, hidden part of my soul. The moment our eyes locked in the mirror, a psychic bolt of lightning shot through my mind. It wasn't a sound. It was an information dump of pure existence. I felt his immense, crushing loneliness, the burden of his power, the endless centuries of his duty. I saw glimpses of horrors he kept locked away forever. Then, the entire vision shattered. Not the glass, but the scene itself, collapsing with a silent, psychic scream that made my nose bleed instantly. The car swerved violently as I cried out, grabbing the wheel to steady it. The paranormal cold rushed back in, colder than ever, a punishment for my choice. But there were no more whispers. There was only one voice, and it wasn't in the car. It was inside my head, calm, resonant, and full of an ancient sadness. So, Mr. Adekunle's true voice echoed in my skull, a sound that chilled me to my very core and confirmed my deepest fears. You finally looked. I don't remember the rest of the drive to our destination. My mind was just a roaring void. When he got out, and then back in, nothing more was said. The drive back was a new kind of torture. The silence was absolute, the presence gone. All that remained was the crushing weight of what I had done. The haunting, I realized, meant I was separate from their world. This new, profound silence meant that I was now unfortunately a part of it. As we pulled through the immense black gates of the estate, I felt a definite change. The towering wooden statues of the old gods now felt different. Their crimson-painted eyes had always seemed watchful. Now, they felt accusatory. Their gaze burned into me as I drove past, a new and primal fear. They weren't just carvings anymore. They were sentinels, and I had failed their master's most important test. They knew exactly what I had done. As I parked the car and stumbled out, my legs shaking, Auntie Ronk was there. She was a silent shadow standing just at the edge of the garage. Her usual stern mask was gone, replaced by an expression of deep, sorrowful pity that was somehow more terrifying. Her heavy ivory bangles were still. I warned you the night air was different here, she said. The pouch he gave you, it was a veil. It could only hide you if you chose to remain hidden. She looked at me, and her eyes saw everything. Now, she sighed, a sound like rustling autumn leaves on a lonely road. You are finally seen. I didn't even have a chance to process her words. A household guard approached, his face an impassive mask. Mr. Adekunle will see you now, he stated. It was not a request. Not for tomorrow. Not after I'd had a chance to breathe. Now, the finality of it chilled me to the bone. This was it. The judgment. The walk through the opulent, silent corridors of the mansion was the longest walk of my entire life. Every single step I took echoed ominously. The scent of incense was suffocating. The carved artifacts in the hallway seemed to watch me pass, their hollow eyes filled with a new, knowing intelligence. I was no longer an outsider, a simple employee. I had trespassed. I had looked behind the curtain. And now I was being led backstage to face the director. The study was as I remembered it, yet entirely different. The air crackled with a raw, contained power that made the hair on my arms stand straight up. The shadows in the corners of the room weren't just shadows. They writhed and coiled. Mr. Adekunle was behind his desk, dressed in his simple white robes. He looked like the billionaire I knew, but after what I'd seen, it was like looking at a mask, knowing the terrifying face that lay beneath it all. "Sit, Michael," he said. He waited until I was a trembling mess in the chair. "That rule," he began, his voice soft, "was never for my protection. It was for yours." He explained that our world is thin, layered over older, darker ones. He was a gatekeeper, and his journeys were acts of maintenance. He wasn't conducting business. These were rituals to keep the shadows at bay and appease the ancient things that slumbered beneath the city's skin. "The beings you felt," he continued, "are drawn to the power I carry. The rule and the pouch were meant to render you invisible, to let you pass untouched." He leaned forward, his eyes pinning me to the chair. "By looking, you did more than break a rule. You established a connection. You accepted their sight. And now, Michael," he said with a chilling finality, "that world can see you in return. You are no longer just an observer. You are now a participant." I thought he was going to fire me. Or worse, I never imagined this. "You cannot go back to your old life," he said simply. "You are now attuned." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "They will be drawn to you. You are a beacon in their world. Your job as my driver is over now. Your service, however, is not. You are no longer an employee, Michael. You are an acolyte. You have no choice. Your safety now depends on your obedience." To punctuate his words, my eyes drifted to the walking stick by his desk. For a heart-stopping second, the carved lion's head was no longer wood. It was flesh and fur, its black lips pulling back to reveal glistening fangs in a silent, predatory snarl. I blinked hard, and it was just wood again. But I had seen it. There was no denying it now. The veil was gone. It was torn, and I knew deep in my soul that it was never, ever coming back. A strange, tingling heat bloomed on the back of my hand. I looked down and, for a brief moment, saw a faint, shimmering symbol glowing on my skin. It looked like a complex knot, an eye surrounded by archaic runes, like a tattoo made of pure moonlight. It was a brand, a clear mark of ownership. My fate was sealed in that moment. I didn't belong to myself anymore. I belonged to this world of shadows, whether I wanted to or not. He dismissed me with a simple nod. I stumbled out of the study and into the pre-dawn light, a complete stranger in my own life, in my own skin. The world outside looked the same. The trees, the sky, the distant sound of the city waking up. But it felt different. It felt fragile, and I could feel why. It was like a painted screen with a vast, dark reality pressing against the other side. And now, for the first time, I could feel all of that pressure. My first coherent thought wasn't of myself, but of Mama Rose. Her laughter, her colorful head wraps, her easy wisdom. If I was a beacon, was she safe? If these things were now drawn to me, was my very presence in her life putting her in mortal danger? This new fear was sharper than any I had felt. It was a fear for someone else, and it was paralyzing. It was a cold, terrible fear that gripped my heart and refused to let go. I was utterly terrified. The drive back to my own neighborhood was a new kind of hell. I saw them everywhere now. Not just in reflections, but out in the open in plain sight. A shimmering woman with a face of pure grief on a street corner, a dark, hunched shape moving with impossible speed down a back alley. They were real. I saw faces in the windows of passing buses, their eyes empty and ancient. I couldn't unsee them. My city was now a city of ghosts, and I saw them all. I finally understood. That night, looking in the mirror, wasn't an ending at all. I hadn't just discovered Mr. Adekunal's secret. I had become part of it. My life as Michael, the hopeful young driver just trying to take care of his mother, was over. That person, that life, was completely and utterly gone. My new life, as Michael, the acolyte, the man who could see all the shadows in the world, had just begun. and I had no idea how I would survive it. I broke the one rule I was given. I looked. Now the horror isn't just in the car after midnight. It's everywhere. It's in the corner of my eye. The question is no longer, what is he hiding? The question now is, how do I survive a world where the monsters are real, and they can all see me? I have to learn the new rules of this world, and I have to learn them fast, because my soul and my mother's life now depend entirely upon it. If you want to see how a regular guy navigates a city of ghosts, make sure you are subscribed with that notification bell on. The real story starts now. Now tell me in the comments below, what would you have done? Would you have kept your eyes on the road? Or would you have looked? Be completely honest. Because in my new world, a single choice is all it takes to change everything, absolutely and irrevocably forever. I learned that the hard way.